Hi, I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we are going to be answering the question, what do they want to happen? This is a really great way to understand, are you guys on the same wavelength? Do they have these same intentions you do? Understand where their head is at? Whatever that may be, we're going to look at it in the cards today. Now, if you can hear construction going on, I am so sorry. That's why there's only 3 piles today. Oh my goodness, what can I do? I hope it doesn't come through too loudly, and I hope you guys can bear with it a little bit. I'll make the messages as succinct as possible so you can hear what you need to hear and not be bothered by the loud noise. As you can see, we have 3 groups in front of us. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group you resonate with most, starting now. Okay, now that you've picked your group and the construction has subsided for one moment, you can go down to the description to skip to your designated group and mark timestamp. But let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's find out what do they want to happen by looking at the cards. We have King of Cups upright, King of Pentacles upright, my favorite shady dude with the 10 of Swords upright, 3 of Cups in reverse. Wow, and King of Pentacles again. Upright. Wow, I don't think I've ever had this many kings in a single spread in my entire life. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a lot of energy. I'm definitely going to have to pull more cards to understand this better because, okay, so first off, let's just talk about what I see immediately. It's an extremely domineering energy from this person. They want to dominate in the relationship. But the thing that's really interesting here is this is not an Emperor in reverse situation where somebody wants to dominate and manipulate in order to control out of ego. Now, there is ego here because, well, ego comes in many forms. It's not always in this manner. Sometimes there's a lot of good intentions, but you're still doing it out of ego, if that makes sense. And the domineering and controlling, I don't get a controlling vibe, to be honest with you. I get more of a controlling of the situation, not a controlling of you, if that makes sense. They just want to really throw upon you a lot of energy and be the one to really navigate the relationship and control certain aspects of it, but it doesn't feel negative. That's why I'm saying it's so interesting. And then over here we get a bit of I want to make double sure this isn't a future situation. I'm getting more of a vibe this is their past and their motivation for what's happening over here. So before we even go into the specifics of this, we can better understand where they're coming from. But yeah, very, very domineering energy from them. So let's see. 4 of Swords in reverse, and 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. This is definitely their past. This is not a future situation with them, which is great, because nobody wants a 10 of Swords as their future. So I can see when we have a 3 of Cups situation, this is a group of friends that they were with in their past, and we can see it didn't end well for them. It ended really bad. It's gone, it's out of their life, but it was messy and it messed them up, and it's causing this very domineering energy. Over here we have more of a sense of togetherness. They brought the same energy as the other people. Everyone kind of had an equal level of participation, but something happened bad enough for them to want to control the next situation to be more in their favor, if that makes sense. We're getting a bit of a traumatized situation going on. But when we have a 3 of Cups in reverse, these are the type of people that are inherently shallow in their values. I often find these people pop up when you're connecting to groups that are, every 6 months they get a new member that joins their group. They seem really fun and enticing and spontaneous, but you later, as you get to know them better, realize that everything they do is inherently empty because unfortunately they are empty people, and they tend to be drawn to, and this is a kind of a compliment, if you will, towards this other person we're connecting with that you came here to look at the spread for. They tend to be especially drawn to people who exhibit pretty intense light because they cannot get it themselves. So they try to get it from other people joining their group. then they unfortunately use them for their light, for that sort of, usually it's like a really intense authenticity, something kind of special and glowy about them, and they get what they need, and then they move on. It often leaves people in a very hurt state, understandably. And my goodness, did they leave your person in this state? Because this over here shows me how much energy was taken away from them. When we have a Four of Swords in reverse situation, this shows us that this other person, or that during this time period, they were constantly needed a break from this friend group. That they never gave themselves. You know, when you even if you have a healthy friend group, if you don't take those breaks, you start to get drained, and it starts to manifest in other ways where sometimes people pick group fights in the group, or you start to feel unusually depressed for no reason. That's normal even in a healthy friend group. But in this one, they just kept wanting more and more and more from your person. And they were kind of being warned by the universe of being like, stop, you need to rejuvenate. And they didn't, and they essentially wore themselves out. And when we have a Four of Swords in a reverse situation, this is when the universe, spirit guides, whatever, pop in and go, if you're not going to take a break, I'm making you take a break. This can pop up in, you get a cold at the at least convenient time. It looks like something happened that ended it badly to force them to get away from this group in order to take that break. We get we get a double confirmation of them in this group when we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is another compliment to this person that we're connecting with. They are very generous. We can see that, oh my goodness, triple, quadruple confirmed over here when we have two King of Pentacles. That's the biggest thing we're picking up. A very generous nature. So yeah, are they domineering? But they're also very generous. So we got to dig deeper to understand what we're getting into. When we have a Six of Pentacles in reverse situation, this is when people overgive. They don't set that boundary for themselves, so they just give and give and give until there's nothing less left to give, unfortunately. And so it looks like they were spent. They were spent, burnt out. It ended in a poor way where they not only were unhappy with how the situation ended, but they had a lot taken away from them. So that is so sad and horrible, but it gives a motivation to what's going on over here, which we're going to get into in 1 second. But I just want to pull cards one more time because I just have this inkling there's something a little more nuanced we're not getting quite yet. So the first question I want to put out there and ask is, were the people with the shallow values and the bad ending, was this based solely on the actions of the people? Were they the one with the only people with the shallow values? I want to understand this. So close but no cigar. Interesting. Okay, was this person we're connecting with, were they somehow a part of the bad ending? Like, did they have some shallow values in them, some shallow motivations, and did they kind of self-sabotage themselves in order to get out of the situation? All right, that's a solid yes. Okay, we're getting a really in-depth look at them. So when we have a Four of Cups situation, it looks like they kind of yeeted them out of that situation, like they self-sabotaged, as we just discussed, and they are not super innocent. I don't think they would lie to you about this, but be aware that when the going got tough, and it really did get tough, they had a reason to, they make stuff happen for them, both good and bad. And they were a part of this ending badly in order to get out and feel better, get out of this mood, and be free of the situation. This is not meant to be an ominous warning, but it is something to just take note that if sometimes people can accidentally go towards bad habits or old habits, if things get difficult, it's what they're familiar with. So as you get to know this person, if that situation starts to rise up and you start to see them self-sabotaging, definitely call them out and say, whoa, 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 hold on. What are you doing? Let's talk about this. If you're not feeling good, let's talk about this. You don't need to push yourself away in such a dramatic way. Not saying that's going to happen, but it's always good to know the good and the bad about our partners. And there's a lot of good. Like I said, very, 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 very generous, lots of intense light about them. But let's talk about what's going on in these kings. So King of Cups, we've got somebody who, despite all that they've been through, they're pretty emotionally balanced. But the King of Cups is really interesting because in every aspect, in both of these versions of kings, this is somebody who understands complex things, and they're able to understand multiple complex things at once. So with the King of Cups, this is somebody who's able to understand a multifaceted amount of information when it comes to an emotional story, a story that you're talking about your feelings, you're like, I went through this, they did this to me, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to not only be a great listener, but they're going to be able to understand everything going on, to fully understand where you're coming from. This is somebody who has a lot of great potential when it comes to, like, if that opportunity is there and things are going tough and you spring up to them and say, hey, I want to talk about this is how I'm feeling, they're going to hear you out. They're going to be open to it. But if things got really bad, we know where it can go. So just keep those things in mind. So like I said, you don't have to be scared of it. It's not too ominous. Just know that if it got there, catch them before they make a move they'll regret. But incredibly emotionally balanced, great listener. They're going to be a great companion to be able to have those conversations with about your own past, maybe together, about what's going on in your own personal relationship. A lot of great potential when you have this type of person who's so emotionally mature. King of Pentacles. This shows us that they are definitely business savvy. They love to work. It's a joy for them. So if you're ever wondering why they want to do this so much, it's because they, in combination, enjoy the act of like understanding how their business works, how to be sufficient. It's not just like a money thing. It's not like they define themselves purely by their money. They love the results of it, if that makes sense. It's a puzzle they can comprehend, and they enjoy doing it over and over and over again. It feels practical, tangible. It's something they really find a lot of pride and enjoyment into. So if you see them being, a little more focused on work than you're used to with other partners, just understand it's their love affair, it's their hobby, nothing to worry about. It's just where they really find their passion. But the other reason why is this is the type of person that loves with money. They are not going to push it in an uncomfortable manner, but they definitely like to buy things like gifts. They like physical forms of proof of love. They're going to treat you to a dinner, whatever your heart contents. Maybe they buy you the latest, whatever thing, I don't know, whatever I can't think of, I'm totally going blank right now. Whatever you're enjoying right now, they're going to treat you with it, essentially. So not a necessarily bad thing. Again, talks about their generosity. It talks about their capabilities, both emotionally. I think it's really interesting. I don't really connect to a lot of people that are both emotionally savvy and business savvy. Usually swords or like fire wands come in more so than these two in combination. So you got a very rare soul going on. So otherwise, they just want to be domineering and overly generous and feel like they can help because they felt powerless in their previous situation. They felt like they weren't able to help everyone, help themselves when it comes to emotionally working out the situation. They want to be that person again. They want to offer that to you. They want to be someone you can depend on, so not a necessarily bad domineering energy. They want to shower you with lots of forms of gift giving, just general action and tangible proof-oriented stuff that you can see that they care about you. They want you to not worry about money, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But understand that it is done out of a little bit of insecurity and ego because of how hurt they were from their past, as we went over. So if they seem really intense, keep in mind it has got a lot of good intentions and it's not meant to become something controlling. It's not meant to be something where they want to hear what you have to say, but don't be surprised if it feels like they're the alpha in the relationship. So yeah, very complex, very interesting. Go figure, like all humans are. If you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what do they want to happen by looking at the cards. We have Ace of Cups upright, Three of Wands, upright. Two of Pentacles, upright. Seven of Cups, upright. And Nine of Cups, upright. I'm sorry, Nine of Pentacles, upright. Interesting. Okay, I'm definitely going to pull some more cards over here because, okay, so first off the bat, I can tell you they are someone who is quite successful. We can see that over here. They've kind of been a lone wolf for a while, so to speak. They enjoy all that they've worked hard for, and they like to see themselves as separate, and it's kind of like everybody else, if that makes sense. So whenever they've dated somebody, there's always this feeling of like they're, coming in and passing through, but they're never a couple, if that makes sense. And I'll be honest with you, they date a lot of people at the same time. And they just enjoy the act of, someone else's company. It doesn't feel skeevy or weird. It's just, because they don't feel they can really depend on anyone else besides themselves. Wow, that really came through. Okay, sorry, Spirit just came through really hard on that one. Because they don't feel like they can depend on anyone else besides themselves, they enjoy people as they are, but that's kind of all they get. Of those people get an opportunity to see of this person, so to speak. But this person also is a little tired of that. There's something in them that's clicking. They're starting to realize maybe there is room for both their love and enjoyment for success and work, and potentially a relationship. We can see that over here with the Two of Pentacles. They're like, what? I'm able to handle the balancing act at work and all of the things that are being asked of me, and even my own home life, and what I want to get done. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I keep seeing something reflected in my picture that I look up towards. Sorry about that. The Two of Pentacles, they are somebody who knows how to balance their already complex life as is, and they're finally waking up and realizing, like, yeah, duh, everyone else has to balance a relationship, what they want to get done personally and work. And they're realizing, if I'm capable of doing what I can do now, I can fit in a relationship. So there's this open vibe of feeling like maybe you're the next one. I definitely feel that over here because they do have the intention of full on wanting to start a relationship with you. That interest is full on there. They want to give it a label. They want to, give you that attention, that emotion, and open up to you in that kind of way. So that's huge. It's really positive because they have not had that before with other people. So if you want to feel special, it's your time to feel special. And I can see over here with the Three of Wands, they're actively trying to pursue you and will continue to try to pursue you. Definitely expect some text messages, emails, that kind of form of communication, because that's just what's convenient for them with their work and what they have to do. But they are definitely interested in pursuing you and making that happen. But here's where I just want to pull some more cards to get clarification. Because while that's all well and good, and that sounds very nice just as is, I want to make double sure. So the thing with tarot is tarot can have multiple meanings at once, multiple card interactions. So while what I said for the first thing with the Two of Pentacles, with balancing a new relationship and work, is still valid, I am a little concerned that it feels like they might not fully want to give up just the fun of dating other people and simultaneously have you as more of the sure thing. And I want to make absolutely certain that's not the case. Teach their own if you're okay with that. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't want that. So I just want to make double sure. Interesting. Okay, interesting. That is tarot has a tone, and that is a tone. So first off, they really are interested in not being with the other people and being solely with you. So that's great. Ten of Pentacles, really positive. They would even, let's just be honest with you. Ace of Cups is coming from a perspective of being like, yeah, I'm open to a relationship. I'm open to being emotionally open with you. And it's new and it's fresh, but you don't really understand in the long term how they feel about you. Ten of Pentacles is like their subconscious saying, like, they see you as full on a, like, marriage romantic partner material. It's not something that's the forefront of their mind because it's so new and they are not consciously thinking I'm going to marry them, but that vibe is there, if that makes sense. Like, that's what they want and they're interested in that. They are, and we could definitely get a vibe of how they are, because while this does imply marriage and kids and stuff like that, if you're interested, it comes from a very practical mindset compared to like the Ten of Cups. So instead of it being like hugging and holding hands, it's very much like, yes, and I will share my wealth with them, and we will buy a nice house and be comfortable. So it's very business oriented to a certain degree. But I think that's just kind of how they think with the Nine of Pentacles coming in. But with the Eight of Swords, when it's in reverse like this in a relationship spread, it feels like they're trying to go out of their way to date you with the objective of having a partner because they're forcing themselves to be free. It doesn't mean they're not necessarily genuinely into you as an individual, but I can't help but wonder, if it wasn't you, would they be trying to go out of their way to pursue this type of relationship with somebody else if that popped in? It's just some food for thought. Like I said, they genuinely are into you. They genuinely feel pumped about this choice they're making to pursue you and pursue a genuine, oh my goodness, how many times can I say that word? Sorry about that. This relationship, but keep an eye on that sort of attitude. Like, in their business kind of mindset, their work, it's very easy for them to say, well, I'll just make this happen. It doesn't have to involve a lot of like emotions or seeing, does it feel right, compared to the way relationships work. It's a constant temperature, what's the word? Gauging somebody's temperature and seeing like what the other person feels, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything else left said. So yeah, they're not going to be with other people. They're just going to be with you. They are interested in a relationship. They don't even know it yet, but they are interested in a very serious relationship with you. We can understand their mindset and where they're coming from. They're going to definitely keep pursuing you, but keep an eye on if they are trying to force something and they need to check in a little more with you and being like, hey, are you really doing this? Or do you just think, well, I now have partner, now we go on date? You know what I mean? Slow down. Let's check in with one another. So yeah, not a big deal. Anyways, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. Let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, let's find out, what do they want to happen by looking at the cards. We have 10 of Pentacles upright, Page of Swords in reverse, 2 of Wands upright, 7 of Pentacles in reverse, and 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, okay, I can already tell what they're like. Okay, so first off, the bat, they are very interested in you. 10 of Pentacles is very interesting in this particular situation because while, yes, it's pretty serious intentions, it's like wanting to marry you sort of intentions. It's like, they see, no matter how you want to phrase it, long term is on their mind for sure with you. They want to build something with you. They want to build something tangible, but it definitely has a certain, I don't want to say less romantic tone, and it's nothing to feel discouraged by, but it's kind of very formal. It's like, I want to build a house with you, and then we will have children, and then this is the things I understand. Does that make sense? It's very much that vibe. It doesn't, I don't want to freak you out. If that's not something you enjoy and you like a little more silliness and spontaneousness, of course, it can mean that too. It's just the idea that romance is a little bit of an exchange for them. They love by understanding things in what they can measure and see in front of their eyes, so to speak. So definitely we're just getting kind of like a flavor and mindset of where they're at. Now, we definitely get a hard look at their mindset. That's something that comes in very strong that influences this sort of mentality, because they need to see things they can trust in order to feel confident. This is super important to them because they don't have the most confident past. When we have Two of Wands, it shows that, yes, oh my goodness, they're completely like thinking in their head, they're already a little bit in the future. We already know that with the Ten of Pentacles, but Two of Wands is like the confirmation of like they're for sure already a little bit planning in advance of how excited they are to see something, flourish between the two of you, which is really great. But this is a sort of stagnant kind of energy. They haven't quite, figured out, they haven't made the actions to move forward. So if you feel like, oh, I haven't really heard from them, why aren't we moving as fast as I'd like? I'm not even quite sure if they're interested back, because I don't feel like they're responding or going out of their way to prove to me yet. It's because they're planning. They're planning, they're organizing, and that sort of stalling and waiting before they make their move is definitely out of fear. Unfortunately, we have this sort of inhibitor, this wall barrier, when we have the Page of Swords in reverse. This is a self-defeatist attitude. So even though they have it set in their mind, they're already really, really, really into you, they want to reach out to you, that intention is there, they're not waiting for you to make a move. Just to be clear, in this situation, there is not a confirmation that you shouldn't make a move. So if you want things to move forward and help pull them out of their fear, definitely go for it. But just know that they do want to reach out to you first and make moves towards that and putting that in stone. But when you're just constantly already fearing the worst and having that mentality of like you've already lost, you can understand why they're a little bit paralyzed by fear, so to speak, and feel like, oh, I just got to replan it. That's what they know. That's where that practicality, that sort of businessy love sort of mindset comes in. But then we have over here, this helps us understand their past and what they've been through. So it's interesting because this more involves a work-related type thing, but people sometimes can associate their failures in general, like failures with work, failure with projects, whatever, and associate it with their relationships with people. So you can, again, kind of get a mindset of where their head is at. So something didn't work out at work. And the main problem of that is the way they approached it, unfortunately. Nothing to worry about. They're not a bad person. When we have a Seven of Pentacles in reverse, this is a sort of situation where people are unfortunately, they keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so it's this panic mindset. That's the main thing Spirit is making me feel right now. They didn't know what else to do, so they just kept doing the same approach to the work that they needed to do, and it didn't help, and so it just made them feel more and more panicked because there was a certain level of awareness of knowing it wasn't working. But it's that, how you get stuck in that mindset sometime where you're like, do I need to just keep going and eventually I'll see the light, and it's better if I'm consistent because it's going to add up, or is this all a waste of time? That's the best way to put it. And unfortunately, because when the Seven of Pentacles, just understand their perspective, when the Seven of Pentacles is upright, this is when you are headed in the right direction, even if you're not seeing proof. And it's the kind of thumbs up of like, keep doing what you're doing. I know it doesn't seem like anything's changing, but you're almost there. It is building up to something fruitful. In this case, this is like, how do you know until you get that confirmation? So they didn't get that confirmation. They were hoping it would not be the latter, like we talked about, and unfortunately it was, and it just didn't, it added to the lack of failure, the lack of meshing at work, unfortunately. So this is what causes their fear-based mindset. So I just wanted to pull a few cards, though, to get a little more clarification on what's going on over here. Yeah, okay, so I'll be honest with you, they're a little rigid in their mindset. It's nothing, again, to worry about. Some people, it's not a stubborn quality, it's like that's all they can fathom, if that makes sense, especially when we have the Hierophant. Again, another mindset of like in their head, they think the end goal is like marriage, that kind of idea. But it's more that they're a traditionalist. So they are somebody who's like, well, I just have to go to work and I just have to do it this way. It's hard for them to creatively think outside of the box sometimes, especially when their like brain is like, well, I've seen that if you do X, Y, and Z, you get this. Why would I do it any different? It's not worth the risk. Again, that sense of wanting tangible proof kind of idea. And with the hangman, unfortunately, in reverse, this shows us that they, especially in this work situation, already have a little bit of a past of things not working out due to this mentality. It's like I feel for them so much. They are aware it's not working, but what can you do if this is kind of like who you are? So they're having a hard time breaking free of who they are. Who knows? Maybe you can be the person that helps them with it. But when we have a hangman in reverse, this is when somebody is forced to, they were, maybe taking a break or unable to make moves to move forward, and then they were forced off of the sidelines prematurely, whether they were ready or not. So they were not given an opportunity to recoup from previous mindsets, previous failures, to stop and be like, let me really reevaluate who I am and what it is I want to do and what do I want to accomplish and how can I change things. Because they were being asked, and this is not their fault, that they were being asked of their, their work was asking them, like, come on, let's move on. I don't care if you're not ready. And it just kind of added to it, unfortunately. It kind of reinstated their, like, okay, this is all I know, this is all I can hang on to. So it's like a safety net, unfortunately. Again, nothing to worry about in the relationship, just something to help. And if you feel there's rigidness, help them, teach them. They want it to be different. There is a full awareness of how their subconscious works and how it's not working for them and how it equaled up to their failures. And the more aware they are, the more self-defeatist they are, and the more it's hard for them to move forward. But this is not someone who can't change. Maybe you can be the one to like help them understand that the world can be a different way and they can think a different way and how to identify when something isn't working, and maybe even just help them build confidence. Either way, yes, they are into, they would like to be the one to reach out to you. They would like some pretty serious long-term relationship stuff with you. But just going to put this out there again, if you want to reach out to them, maybe that would be a great way of breaking their sort of traditional mindset, breaking the norm. So anyways, if you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Have a lovely day. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's, this is the end of the video. I'm so used to doing 4 groups. Have a lovely day. Bye.